What's up, y'all? I am indeed here. Robin Lindbergh with you. Last show of the week. Quick announcement to probably last live show until Tuesday, given Monday is Memorial Day and all that. It is Memorial Day, right? I have the date right. So I figured people are out doing their things. So last live show until then. I will have videos in the meantime. The channel will be populated in the meantime. The channel was popping last night after the Indiana Fever game. And we're going to focus on basketball today, not culture wars. This is getting out of hand. Charles Barkley had come to the defense of Caitlyn Clark last night after LeBron James had also come to her defense. And, there's some comments I might read from other videos I did that it's just strange to me. Some of the reactions, again, to various things. I did a video on Cameron Brink a little bit earlier, which I do want to get into the reaction to that. But I wanted to start with the Indiana Fever, who are now at 0-5, clearly getting better. But, that was a rough loss last night. Because, as I said in the video I put up last night, the game was there, and Clark is sitting on the bench in the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, so is Nalissa Smith in the middle of the fourth quarter. And I got what Christy Sides was trying to do. I got that. But she was trying to sneak them a quick breather. At the same time, you have to realize when it's getting away. And she should have figured that out before. Now, I know people are going to rush and want to get her out the paint and everything. It is still super early in the season. I think that was a micro problem within a game. The macro problem is Aaliyah Boston, who has just not been good at all. Seems like a great young lady, great young woman, but has not played well at all. And the way I believe she needs to play, I think, is counterintuitive to the way Caitlyn Clark needs to play. And just Boston's always taking the ball from so low to get it up and not finishing a bunch of shots. It's rough. It's rough to watch. And Time Fagbenle has been a much better fit next to Caitlyn Clark. So how do you fix the Indiana Fever? To me, it's relying on Fagbenle. To be honest, I just put her in the starting lineup. I know that's going to be a tough thing to do. Play Kelsey Mitchell and Nalissa Smith alongside Caitlyn Clark. Michael S. says, I already left my initial response comments on the other videos. Best case scenario for the Fever is AB gets in the gym and grinds and makes herself fit into what we can all see happening. I mean, I don't even know if fit does it. It's her pace. It's where she occupies spots on the floor. It's going to be tough. I have to admit, I must not have seen her play enough because I thought that would be a good fit, and I just don't know if that's going to be the case. Kevin Zwicker with the super chat. Clark having haters means she's popping. WWR membership. Consider signing up. We've been talking women's basketball, wrestling, and rap. Obviously, the focus of the show has been women's basketball. I have another initiative coming on that soon, so I am considering launching a separate channel. Kevin and I have a wrestling video coming later tonight. Check it out. Let me know what you think. But when that separate channel does indeed launch, if it does indeed launch, I also need to narrow down what the specificity of that channel is. Like, would you want rap and wrestling, or should we just go all wrestling? Because I have the wrestling show with Denise Salcedo on Friday nights and the like. So let me know what you think in the chat. If you like it all here, just peppered in, mixed in, or if you would want a separate destination, either because you only want the one thing on this channel, or you only want the other thing or more of the other thing. This is you're my audience. You're my survey. You're my best test subject. So let me know. AJ Schreiber says Sky giving it to Liberty right now. Let me pull up that game. Where's it streaming, AJ? Is it on Amazon Prime? I think I saw you guys talking about Amazon Prime earlier. Let me find. where that might be streaming. I'll get you guys a after I do the show with Denise tomorrow night. I'll also do a reaction to the Fever game, which is also tomorrow night. I'm gonna pull up the Sky game right now. What is this one? Who's watching? It's me. It's me, snitches. Let me pull up that game. Ernesto says, all wrestling, keep everything else over here. Well, if I do that, Ernesto, everything else is going to mean this. What we're talking about now, and then wrestling on the other channel. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's what it is. And then WWR, the R just goes to Robin, and I can do the other stuff on shorts or whatnot. But let me know what you guys think. AJ also says, those of you not in the fan forum, make sure you get in there. Fan forum is up on Facebook. You can check that out. But yeah, I think that might be the move. He also compliments my haircut. Thank you. I got this shaped up too. I'm a professional broadcaster. But I'm giving serious consideration to making that switch and building. We already have a wrestling logo too. So I could do that. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. The Clark fans, the basketball fans, my hardcore fans. I don't want to just make like rash decisions either, especially heading into a holiday weekend. And, then you got to build from scratch and all that. But I want to make sure I'm doing what is best for the individual channels and for the audience at large, and building the respective brands. So let me know what you guys think about that. Ernesto says Boston is the problem right now. She has to learn how to not bring the defense back around to CC. That is true. Theo is in the chat. Where's Theo? He showed up the other day, longtime listener, and showed up in the chat. Alvin White Jr. says, I say keep it all on one page. Okay. That's different feedback. So I'm not going to just make a rash decision. I'm surveying the audience. I'll also see, to be honest with you, I'm going to see how they do statistically, because those things matter. It's so stupid. It's like an algorithm, right? Like, so, the algorithm, if certain people aren't watching certain videos, won't highlight the next videos. So those are the things I'm taking into consideration. But, it's all my interests and stuff. And I know some people just like me and what I have to say, and they have multi-interests. So, it's not one of those things I would do rashly. If I do it, it's going to be because there's strategy. But I appreciate the feedback, Alvin White Jr. Have you been in here before, dude? I don't think I've seen you before. He said, speaking of CC, looking forward, anybody in college you think would fit bets next to her the next season? How about Paige Beckers? How about Paige Beckers? Ernesto, what are you cursing about in the chat? I'm just getting people's opinion. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I don't know why you're cursing in the chat. I'm just curious. I would like to know what my audience thinks. That's all. I'm just asking what they think. They're not going to make the decision. I will ultimately make the decision. Theo B says, AB game does not mesh well with CC. Best big Fever have is Fagbenle. Will they pull the trigger and start her? They should. If they want to win as many games as possible. If they want to win as many games as possible, they should. I see another comment in here about Angel Reese. I have to check the game and how she's doing, but Cito 412B says Angel Reese out winning games while dancing around with pom-poms. This gets into the comments I saw earlier on some of these videos. I did the video on Cameron Brink earlier today, and let's see if I can see the comments here and pull them up. I would have taken screenshots if I had more time, or somebody else was on maybe a different, I don't know if they deleted their comment. Somebody had commented in there saying like, Cameron Brink isn't bringing viewers to the WNBA. You're gaslighting everybody or something to that effect. And I'm like, y'all realize for the WNBA to grow, there has to be focus on more than just one player. Like you have to, I think Cameron Brink said it herself, where you water the grass, it grows. Like you have to expand the coverage. No one is denying the fact that Caitlyn Clark is the driving force behind the women's. I know that better than anybody, right? Like I know that better than anybody. I've said that much. But if you want the league to expand and grow, you need everybody else to get a little shine. So Angel Reese should get highlighted, and Cameron Brink and whomever else obviously should be highlighted. And then I had somebody else, like people try to do the white black thing. Let me trust me that is so much more of a vocal minority than actual people. I promise you that. People are taking the little controversial takes from somebody here or there and using it to shit stir because it gets people talking and it gets engagement. I promise you. The vast majority of white people are not rooting against Angel Reese. The vast majority of black people are not rooting against Caitlyn Clark, vice versa. That's just not reality. And as I've said many times, there are a lot of black fans rooting for Caitlyn Clark, appreciate Caitlyn Clark, understand why Caitlyn Clark is getting all the attention. I promise you. So when people get in I think they're just trying to stir up ish too when they start using those words and terms. And, I had somebody in the Cameron Brink video also, like, obviously Cameron Brink is a white girl, right? Like, and this whole idea that you have to be a white straight player. Sabrina Ionescu, a white straight player, didn't get the star attention that Caitlyn Clark has gotten. It's because of her game. And Cameron Brink, like personally, like I find Rakia Jackson is more, photogenic to me than Cameron Brink from a personal standpoint. Alvin White Jr. back in here saying, first time catching you live, followed you from Denise and your show from Fridays. Every Friday night after SmackDown, I'm with Denise Salcedo. There will be a wrestling video going up tonight. Kevin and I talked about it earlier. SummerSlam is now 2 nights for you wrestling fans out there, which is cool. SummerSlam being 2 nights, it ties into WrestleMania being 2 nights. As somebody who went to WrestleMania, that 2-night experience was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. So I understand it's like a money grab, but we're talking about the King of the Ring winner getting the title shot and what that could mean for Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Gunther, possible returns of Roman Reigns down the line, the women's side of things, Jade Cargill being a big star. So catch me with Denise tomorrow night after SmackDown on her YouTube channel. After that, I'll hop back over here to do a Fever video. And tonight we've got the wrestling video Kevin and I did dropping later. But continue to let me know what you guys think of it as far as keeping everything on one channel or possibly breaking it off. I will make the decision, Ernesto, wherever you're out there. I will do what I think is best. But I only think it's wise to get take the pulse of the audience, the people that are in here, that are watching me, that are supporting me. LeVar Hollow says, Brink got that Cameron Diaz vibes. I agree. She does have Cameron Diaz vibes. I'm not a big Cameron Diaz guy, though. Not my speed as much. The blonde, it's to each their own. Beautiful lady. Beautiful woman. William H. Film says that boy got taste for Kia Jackson bad. She is indeed attractive. I think she is a nice-looking young woman. Attractive young woman. There's a lot of, whatever your taste may be for the heterosexual men out there, or the, girls who, whatever, girls like girls where I'm from, Kevin, right? There are a lot of women in the WNBA now, and you see that being presented out in front, which is different. And I think that could expand the demographic. The male audience, I think, could be brought in because of that. I'm not joking, not like in a cute, but it can help when you've got Skylar Diggins and Rakia Jackson and Cameron Brink and Kelsey Plum and so on and so forth, Angel Reese, so on and so forth. It makes a difference. It does. Kevin Zwicker says no Diaz slander. I'm not slandering her. It's just that, it's not my, I don't know what to tell you. Jerma Loving says Whitlock is saying that Clark is the tales of modern day Jackie Robinson. Jeremiah, I'm not going to take what Jason Whitlock says too seriously. I'm sorry. Talk about an engagement merchant. He knows, he's figured out how to rile up that far right audience. And especially being a black dude who's serving that far right audience, he really stirs it up. Look, Caitlyn Clark is getting some blowback. She's not getting Jackie freaking Robinson blowback. Jackie Robinson, remember, I mean, not to divert too much, but we aren't that far removed, relatively speaking, from black people not being allowed to go to the same schools as white people or drink from the same water fountains and play in the same leagues. Like, it's not that far. I mean, hell, slavery ain't actually that far in the grand schemes of history. But those things are even closer. Like, our parents were around for that. So it's just so dismissive of what people actually went through and some of the ramifications that are still here today to try and make some comparison because people said something on social media about Caitlyn Clark. At the same time, it's plain and freaking obvious that Caitlyn Clark's the biggest star in the sport and the driving force behind the popularity. Like, you have to have a broken brain to not see that at the same time. And people try to make everything about race nowadays because it's controversial. It stirs things up. All these things, like, certain things are, and there have been, there's still, no one's denying there are, stereotypes and racial implications to things. But people try to attach it to everything. And that's a little bit of an issue. Kayla Mendenhall says, Kelsey Plum is gorgeous. This is coming from a straight woman, LOL. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm allowed to get away with. Like, I just want to be respectful, is all. But I agree. I agree. And for the, I have, over the course of my life, preferred a little bit of skin tone, I guess you would say. And when we're, so the white girl blonde look that is appealing to so many, obviously has never quite been my thing. Even when we're not talking about a non-white girl, but even like the sultry, darker hair and stuff, I had preferred. I don't know. We should be talking about basketball, I suppose, but you get the point. You get the point. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. You guys are in here. This is crazy. AJ Schreiber, Michael S. and Theo, is Kiki going to be worthy of the number one pick? Just asking, because that's where the Fever going to be again. Well, we don't know if the Fever are going to be there. There's a lot of the season left, but a lot of people are saying that. Juju is a really fun player too. As Theo says, Kiki's my second favorite. Juju is my favorite player. Can't wait for this USC season. Going to be a movie. Cito 412B, Kate Martin going to put an end to some of this cutting up. What do you mean? I'm trying to get, some of y'all are going to have to start sending super chats because I cannot keep track of all of these. DS Sai Sahande is a WWR member, so comment getting read from him. What are your thoughts on the Apple greatest album list? Just like some of this stuff, lists always get engagement, right? So do I think The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is the best album of all time? I do not. Is it a very, very good album? Yes. I'm not going to be too worked up about it. Good Kid, Mad City. It did make me spin that again. That came in as the 7th best album of all time. The Blueprint, I think, was 11th best or 13th best, something like that. Beat-O-Matic, so I can have that bragging rights over Nas fans. It all comes down to personal preferences, subjectivity. It's impossible to do an album list like that or any list like that, really, and not piss some people off. It's just not possible. For me, what are the greatest albums of all time on my list? I mean, some of them are on that list. The Blueprint is on that list. 444 is on that list. Sorry, 444 is on that list. The Blueprint is on that list. Aquenamai and AT Aliens are on that list. Outkast. Enter the Wu 36 Chambers is on that list. Wu-Tang. Jizza Liquid Swords is on that list. Fleetwood Mac Rumors is on that list. Tom Petty. I mean, the problem with Tom Petty is I feel like his greatest hits album is, but I'd say Full Moon Fever is the one. Purple Rain, Prince is on that list. You know, Sean Davis, other WWR member. What are your thoughts on SummerSlam going to 2 nights and also them now having more of a meaning for King of the Ring, King and Queen? Sean, there is a new video dropping. You should have access to it now because it's up for members, with Kevin and I discussing that very topic. I think SummerSlam going to 2 nights is great because I was at WrestleMania and the 2 nights were a lot of fun. And, you know, on top of that, I like the fact that it has meaning because otherwise, what was the point of King of the Ring? And I could see them going either way here, right? I could see them going either way, considering Gunther could get that world title, and that makes a lot of sense. And Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes is a mega match at SummerSlam. So I'm super down. They needed some excitement, Sean, and I'm glad it gives us something to talk about on the show with Denise tomorrow night, myself and Denise, because I was getting a little bored of the Cody Rhodes title reign so far. So check out that video. That's dropping a little bit later tonight. Super cool to see you guys come over from Denise's channel, by the way, Sean, and now Alvin White with the super chat. It means a lot to me. That is super cool. I'm going to let her know that as well. Confession being at 95, but Blonde at 5 is insane. The Weeknd and Wayne not being on there was crazy too. You know what, Alvin? And this is actually, you know, Alvin said keep it on one channel. This is more support for that in a sense because so many people are talking about the various things here. But they rewarded people who never make albums. How many albums does Frank Ocean have? 2? Like, does he have another one? He's got the Orange and Blonde, right? Maybe I missed some, but barely. And Lauryn Hill made 1 damn album. And they put them both in the top 5. Wayne, to me, his albums are a little bloated, but I could see one of them being on there. Weeknd, what Weeknd album would it be? Is the question. Well, Weeknd is on there. Take Care is on there. So Weeknd has an album on there. Look at that synergy, Kevin, for your super chat. Honestly, Nevermind, best album. You don't like Honestly Nevermind for real, do you? Do you? I'm sure you do. AJ Schreiber says, I thought Frank Ocean was a one-hit wonder. No, Frank Ocean is an enigma. That's the thing with Frank Ocean. He's an enigma because he's so talented, but he is not productive. And then, AJ also said 9 Inch Nails came in at number 74 on my list, my number 1 jam. So you're like a hard rock dude. What's the 9 Inch Nails album? What's it called? That's the one with I know which one you're talking about. Shoot. Closer, right? Or is it Hurt? No, Hurt's the song. Is that the album Closer? I'm trying to think of that they might both be songs. What's the name of the damn album that everybody talked about back in the day? 9 Inch Nails best album. That will trigger it for me. But Trent Reznor. I mean, I know 9 Inch Nails. I grew up. It's funny. I grew up like a like a grunge rocker dude when I was younger. Downward spiral. I grew up like a grunge rocker headbanger dude, and I was wearing the Jankos. And it wasn't until I made the basketball team and the track team I became like a big rap dude, hip hop dude. And I was playing basketball last night and somebody played EPMD's The Joint. And when I got my 95 Ford Escort, I souped up the speakers on that joint. And that's the first jam I played, The Joint. I make $1 million every 6 months and y'all hate my, I was actually a pretty good freestyle rap battler in my day. If you believe it, it's the truth. Alvin White's back saying I would say Beauty Behind the Madness. See, that's the thing about Weeknd. Weeknd, when he put out the what's the song? Flashing Lights. Like, and he boycotted the Grammys because he said he was being disrespected at the Grammys. And I thought at first he was being bitter, but I saw that song wasn't nominated, and Blinding Lights, I'm sorry. And I saw that song wasn't nominated, and I thought to myself, how is that possible? There's no way there were 5 better songs that year. That's an all-time great song. Like, if you were to tell me that's the best song ever made, I wouldn't be mad. AJ Shriver saying Trent is such an amazing musician and his theatrical scores are some of the best. 2-time Academy Award winner. Look, I mean, there's great musicians throughout history. I'm not against any genre of music. I have my preferences, but I rock with everything. I just happen to be a hip-hop head. And he adds Sky up 8 at the half. So that's your update there. LeVar Hollis says good versatility. I think you're talking about what we're discussing so far on the show. I tell the truth. Nice haircut, by the way. Thank you. That's 2 comments on the haircut. Kayla Mendenhall, where do you think Clark is on her bid for Team USA thus far? They better put her on Team USA. They better put her on Team USA. You know, otherwise, first of all, it's good for this show if she's on Team USA. They're going to have that break in the season for the Olympics. So I would like her to be on Team USA. And the same thing, it's just, you know, when you're talking about growing the game and expanding the game and the fan base of the teams, that makes sense. The fan base of the sport. Jimmy Nugent, I think he means to say Sides needs to go. Not yet. Look, I can't make a determination like that after 5 games. I actually like some of what, I mean, I thought that the fact that Aaliyah Boston sat down for an extended period of time was a good sign from Christy Sides. She's also turned the team over to Caitlyn Clark for the most part, which is a good sign. That was a bad management of substitutions in the 4th quarter yesterday. Was it a fireable offense? I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. AJ Shriver says, I love a good smorgasbord of topics during these live shows. Good to know. Like, look, guys, I learned from the audience, too. You know, I'm an overthinker. That's part of my issue. You know, like, it's a gift and a curse. It allows me to, you know, continuously produce, but it also gets me inside my own head. So I like the fact that people are down with that and are into that. And we've done so much, so heavy Indiana Fever coverage and Caitlyn Clark coverage. It's a nice change up. And that's some of my, you know, some of my passions, my greatest passions in life, wrestling, rap, all that stuff, you know, and that some of it I've done professionally too. So I like the fact that so many in the audience are also into that. It's encouraging. LeVar says Clark on Team USA. Nah, them girls might Nancy Kerrigan or me. I think it's overstated too. We should dial back. I leaned, you know, I benefited from it and I reacted to it, but I'm going to dial back on the culture war stuff on this because it's just not helping get anywhere. We're going to talk about mostly basketball because the culture war stuff it's made up. It's mostly made up. It's a few people online, a few pundits, and then everybody acts like that's what most people are saying. But look at I can just look at the icons of the people in this chat and, you know, we got men, women, white, black, Asian, just from looking at the picture in this chat right now. I'm sure more than that. That's just what I saw scrolling for a second there. David Weiss, did I miss the discussion on benching Aaliyah Boston? Well, the good news is I can bring it back up. I think Aaliyah Boston is not a good fit with Caitlyn Clark. I'm not so sure how good Aaliyah Boston is, period, to be honest with you. I respectfully did not watch her enough last year. I did not watch her enough. And she just takes so long to do everything. And she shoots from way too low. I feel like every shot gets blocked. Her best game is going to be like fed and then operating off of that. And that's not going to help Clark because that means she's in the way. In fact, Benlay is a rim runner. Fits much better with Clark. catches Clark's passes, allows them to play fast. So if I were the coach, yes, I would bench Aaliyah Boston for Fag Benley. But that's a tough decision to make. That's a tough decision to make. Riz Lodved says the defense needs to change. 100% it does. Michael S. says, is anyone watching the Bollywood halftime show? I think it's a good touch. I'm looking at I'm catching some of it. So my wife is actually Indian. Well, I say she's fake Indian. She's Guyanese. Her family is from Guyana. Her mother is from Guyana, and her father is from Dutch Guyana. And so I have some experience with Indian wedding. I had an Indian wedding. Well, actually, it's right here. I had an Indian wedding, and I have seen, I could do my Shah Rukh Khan impression for you if you want. Their defense, I think I put that comment up already. Sorry, there's so many comments in here. It's really getting hard for me to keep track. If you want to make sure your comment is read, consider a super chat, consider a membership. Those I can see easily. But you don't have to pay to get your comment read. Don't get me wrong. I will read comments. I'm just saying it will make sure I see it. There's a lot of people in this chat. So that's all. Eventually, I'm going to have to staff all this out. Vadamuni says, Coach Christy Sides is the worst coach in the entire league. I would have to watch some of the other coaches to make that determination. More closely for a more extended period of time. I'm willing to give Christy Sides a little bit of a chance. By the way, for those of you who were asking about the Apple, it was who asked about the Apple Music list? Was it Alvin first? Well, let me put his super chat back up anyway. I did a Kendrick Lamar short yesterday that you can check out. And again, just while I'm plugging the other stuff, we had the chat from Sean Davis, WWR member, had sent in the question about the Wrestling King of the Ring and SummerSlam. I'm trying to find that again. And that there will be a video of Kevin and myself talking about that going up a little bit later this evening. For those of you who are interested, it's members only right now. Let me know what time you guys want me to, some of the wrestling fans, you want me to release it a little earlier. It's scheduled for 11 right now, but I could drop it a little earlier if you guys want. That's that comment. Just letting you know I listen to the fans. LeVar Hollis says, West Indian vibes, cool, man. I'm in Bermuda. I wish I was in Bermuda right now. Riz Lodved says, unpopular comment, Sides is not that bad. Her rotations make sense. I see why she needs to bench CC at times, especially when they need a defensive stop. So this is an interesting comment because I don't think she's as horrible as some of the CC fans have made it out to be. I'm not complaining about the offense-defense substitutions. I'm not complaining about those. Those make sense. What I was complaining about was benching Caitlyn Clark and Nalissa Smith. Not just Caitlyn, because to me, Nalissa Smith is the second best player on the team. Benching Caitlyn Clark and Nalissa Smith in the middle of the fourth quarter and the run that the Storm went on as a result, which she didn't stop. She didn't, I get it. She was trying to get them a breather, sit them down, not overwork them, all those things. But she could have managed the rotation a little bit better. She did sit Aaliyah Boston for a good stretch of the second half. She has made adjustment on the way that the team is playing overall. So I don't think Christy Sides is quite as bad as some of the detractors say. I don't think that. Pete P says, no one seems to know that Caitlyn won 3 gold medals in Team USA in the FIBA tournament. She was the MVP. Well, look, Caitlyn Clark needs to be on the U.S. Olympic team. She needs to be on the Olympic team. But that would be a travesty if she's not on the Olympic team. Steve King says, anybody who would do a Carrington on a Kerrigan on CC would have a huge target on their back. I thought you were talking about Carrington, Deshanae Carrington, because Deshanae had a target on Caitlyn Clark and went after her, but in a good way. Like that's in a good competitive spirit way versus, you know, the Nancy Kerrigan thing. That's probably an outdated reference for people. I mean, how many people even know, you know, Kevin Zwicker with the super chat, new wrestling video fire. He's played. Look, Kevin started as a huge fan of mine, and I had a bunch of fans on a wrestling video we did one day right before WrestleMania. And I've always liked Kevin from like our interactions online. I could tell he got it, and then he was just a good talker. And I was like, you know what? Let's try this out. So he and I have done a series of videos together. He's also helping as the official producer of the show. Him and AJ really. I'm on it. Him and AJ probably know me better than almost anybody now because I send them my random thoughts and stuff on us. And this all started. They were fans, and now they're helping to build this channel and this show and everything that comes along with it. So I appreciate them more than I can say. AJ says the Olympic thing will come down to whether or not they will break history and allow a rookie to play on the team. Has never happened before. Well, I mean, come on. This is like, it's a dumb moment. When are you going to do it? If you're not going to do it now, you're stupid. I mean, like, this is like, again, the culture war stuff is overstated, but this like gatekeeping thing, if you don't realize, now here's the thing. Two things are true. Oftentimes, two things are true, right? On one hand, the WNBA was already growing. It was going in the right direction. And there are a lot of women who put in work to make it grow. On the other hand, if you don't realize that Caitlyn Clark is the catalyst for the explosion in popularity, your brain has to be broken. Like I cannot believe that you can think if you don't see that. I cannot believe that. Batamoni says Stewart was on the team as a rookie. I think I'd have to look that up. I don't know. I don't know all the details of that. Oh, we got a record for a super chat. JMS Mikey. Is there any chance that Bluter will coach the Fever? Bluter and Cece are a magical combination. Look, I'll say this. I understand this, so many people rooted for Iowa and everything, and is there a chance? I guess so. I do think people need to move on from Iowa. She's not in Iowa anymore. But I've said, she needs to be coached by Mike D'Antoni. That would be an interesting. How old is Mike D'Antoni now, though? That would be my one drawback. But I feel like he is the perfect coach for Caitlyn Clark at the professional level. He is 73 years old. But and I know he had I think a back issue. But Mike D'Antoni is the perfect coach for Caitlyn Clark. For sure. Thank you so much for that chat, by the way. And I get why people fell in love with that Iowa team. They fell in love with that Iowa team. DSI Sahande said Jamel Hill is the only person who started the culture wars thing. She is disingenuous. It wasn't just Jamel. Look, and Jamel, again, I know Jamel. I like Jamel. Like, I stuck up for Jamel with the Colin Kaepernick Trump thing back in the day when I first got to SI. I think sometimes, she leans a little too much into that. I think also people gravitate to the specific parts of what she says, but it comes from everywhere. Like Whitlock and Clay Travis and Jamel on both sides. And then like you get a couple of prominent voices saying it, and then it's like in the comments section. When in real life, you never hear that. Or with people watching the game, that game was streamed by 250,000 freaking people on X yesterday. William Simmons, sorry. They aren't running enough pick and rolls. Terrible screens are being set for her. I agree. He says Caitlyn needs a vet, and that could help the team as well. I mean, look, the problem is it's not as long a season as the NBA season is. So all of a sudden it gets a little late early. But, AJ Schreiber said I had to stop watching SportsCenter when she was hosting. I stopped watching SportsCenter a long time ago, bro. I remember when I was a kid, that was the coolest thing in the world, though. Stuart Scott and Craig Kilborn and Kenny Mayne, Keith Olbermann, Dan Patrick. West Coast for Life says, I heard about, I think you mean to say Brittany Griner, the rest, and that's it. I didn't find out until the other day that Griner threw down a dunk. I think you're talking about the level of coverage. Yeah. The league was not covered as well. Whoa, I didn't mean to put that comment up. Sorry. I would actually, let me put it up because I accidentally clicked on it. Don't insult people, okay? We don't need it. Like I get it, and I know you're not trying to be mean-spirited, but let's try to don't condescend, and let's try not to insult people. I know you're just trying to say Aaliyah Boston does not move fast. She doesn't, but I think there's a more tactful way to put it. She seems like such a delightful young woman that I can critique her basketball and say she's been horrible so far this year and a terrible fit with Caitlyn Clark. But this is already a woman who's had to delete her social media because what she's hearing. So she doesn't need to be insulted. You know what I mean? Vadim says their screens are just bringing double teams to CC. They seem to get better in games 3 to 4, but 5 was a setback. Yeah. AJ Nikamul finally got her visa and made her debut last night. That was a great moment. By the way, I'm pulling up AJ's comments. He's a WWR member and an integral part of this show. So you see a bunch of his comments, Kevin's comments. GH Sen says Boston got to go. Look, I mean, unfortunate, but I do think Fagbenle is a better fit next to Caitlyn Clark than Boston. I do think that. By the way, we got a bunch of concurrent viewers in here today, so thank you. Doing really well. Appreciate that. I'm glad people were rocking with the other topics in here. I'm glad to see people come from Denise's channel over here. All that is amazing. See, here's another thing, Tyrone. This is about pettiness and ego. This is simply racism, narcissistic behavior by other players and teammates, and they hate that she's not No, I don't think that's it at all, dude. I think any of the resentment to Caitlyn Clark has really come because she's getting all this attention when a lot of other women have played and worked their tail off for a long time and don't get the same amount of attention. That's it. I don't think there's... Look, from the media side, yeah, you get the white girl thing. But again, I'm watching the Liberty right now. Sabrina Ionescu is a white girl. I almost positive her partner is a male. She's a damn good player. If it were about being a straight white girl, she would be more popular or more hated on, or one of the two. By the way, like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up, comment, all that. Alvin White says, do you see anybody beating the Aces this season, or will they three-peat? Look, I mean, the Liberty are a really good team. I was impressed by the Connecticut Sun so far this year, but the Aces have to be the heavy favorite. And in the WNBA right now, it's also such a small league where some of the talent can get consolidated, and that has to be factored in. But I think the Liberty, the Sun, and the Aces are the three best teams I've seen thus far. But the Minnesota Lynx are 2-0. I'm looking at it. And they're winning by 11 points a game. That's something to watch. Sabrina just scored. It's 45-36 Sky over the Liberty at this moment. Kai says, simple. For Fever to succeed and be in contention, CC needs at least 20 field goal attempts a game. That means other players need to understand and sacrifice some shots. Yeah, well, they're not going to have to sacrifice shots because Caitlyn's going to give them the ball. I mean, if you give Caitlyn the ball and let her operate, they'll get shots. I mean, last night's game, you had who was in there? I think Mitchell and Smith had as many points as Clark did last night. Did they not? Or darn close if they didn't. Let me check out the box score, go back just to want to make sure I'm factually correct in what I say. Smith, 16 points. Mitchell 17 points, Clark 21 points. So yeah, that's about right. That's about right. Her Woodwork says the Aces just lost. So I mean, look, teams are going to lose in a regular season game. And also, I'm trying to get to some of these new chatters today. Facts. So glad you made that point. I don't know what point that was in reference to, but if you want to throw that back up, I'll try and get back to your chat in a second. Luke Kang says, coincidence, Camilla wants to make her debut against Clark. I think it's probably a combination of that's about the right timing. And yeah, who wouldn't want to make that debut? I mean, that's good. We'll do a live show. We have to do a live show that day, I think. That's a Saturday, June 1st. By the way, Polar Seltzer, I had the Waterloo today. This is like rosé flavored, non-alcoholic, obviously. I don't drink, for any of those who don't know. It tastes good, but I got to say it tastes too much like an alcoholic beverage that I can't recommend it to non-alcohol drinkers unless you're chasing an alcohol-flavored thing. Led Brave said Gabby Marshall did apply for the draft before, right? Can the Fever snatch her to be with CC? I have to look into some of this stuff, guys. Leroy Wick says, as long as Erica Wheeler is in the lineup, losses will continue to pile up. She's not leading a mutiny. I'm sorry. There's no mutiny. Her teammates like her. They're getting better. Guys, like the CC fans have to calm down. Like, I am in lockstep with some of your points. I agree on many things, but you guys got to calm down. Alcohol is poison. And Futuristic, you say, what needs to change is the coach. Trust me. I have covered sports for a long time, people. A long, long time. And I got to tell you this. The coach is always the one who gets blamed. Always. And the coach is the easiest one to replace. So I've seen coaches get fired so many times because fans were upset about something and it changed nothing. Now, I do think changes need to happen for the Fever. Again, they need to make sure that she has the ball, Clark has the ball to operate, but they've already made that change. Like Clark is playing much better. The team is playing much better. The Aaliyah Boston thing needs to be worked out. Again, I did not like side substitution patterns in last night's game, but that's a one-game thing. You know, it's another thing she can learn from and work out. Like, we got to calm down. Got to calm down. I did not wait. He said Lynn. I did not compare Clark to Lynn. By the way, for those of you who are missing this inside joke, I have referenced in the past how Caitlyn Clark fans remind me a little bit, not all Caitlyn Clark fans, but like the only Caitlyn Clark protective fans, a little bit of Jeremy Lin's fans from back in the day. Nothing to do with Clark and Lynn specifically, just their fan bases, because there were a lot of Jeremy Lin fans who weren't basketball fans before, who weren't Knicks fans, you know, who weren't fans of other players. They just became Jeremy Lin fans because Jeremy Lin blew up. And obviously they felt a certain pride about him, and it was cool. And there was nothing wrong with that. But they would lash out at anything even semi-critical of Lin, and everything had to be everybody else's fault but Lin. And that was the thing I noticed from Caitlyn Clark fans, some of the most ardent Caitlyn Clark fans. Caitlyn Sanity. Lynn beat Kobe. I was there, man. I was there. I saw some cool stuff at the Garden back in those days. It was back-to-back games, Kobe and LeBron against the Knicks. It was a Kobe, I think, scored 63. And the next night, LeBron had a 50-point triple-double. That was when I was in the freight elevator with Jay-Z that night. Because, you know, MSG, I don't know if it's still this way. Probably not, but there was like the press entrance is where the celebrities would come in, and there was this one freight elevator, slowest elevator in the world. Oftentimes I would go up the steps to avoid it. But I was in that elevator with Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys and Spike Lee a billion times and people like that, Jon Stewart, you know. But Jay-Z, I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. And one night, it was the LeBron game. It was Kobe and then LeBron back to back. Everybody had bounced out, and he had been messing with the security backstage, like cracking jokes. And then it was me, my buddy Jared Bodden, and shouts to J-Bo, and Hove in the elevator. And I asked him at that time, we were just like trapped in the elevator together. I said, when's Watch the Throne coming out? Because it was around that time period. And he said, when it's done. In that Jay-Z fashion. And then I took a picture. Like, I actually stopped him and took a picture. And I haven't done that with almost anybody before, but I had to do it in that instance. Futuristic, thank you. He says, keep up the good work with the channel. You are doing great. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the videos. Give me any feedback that you do have. I take your feedback very seriously. Ernesto, wherever you're at, I'll make my own decisions, but I do care about the audience. You guys matter to me, obviously. I am over the moon about, how well some of these shows are doing, how much this is growing, how much, support we've gotten, how the video last night did 30,000 views. The one I did after 30,000 views. Just me talking into the camera. This show is, every time I go live, we're getting thousands of views. So I do appreciate that very much. The dog Butters is going crazy upstairs. I don't know what is happening up there. They got to pick her up or something. Driving me nuts. GH Sense says Reese kind of sucks getting blocked every time. Angel Reese is a really good rebounder. That's her number one. She's a good defender and a really good rebounder. She has excellent rebounding instincts on how to get after the basketball, how to pursue the basketball, all those things. She is 0 for 6 from the floor, though, tonight. And I think she's shooting like 30-something% on the season. What's her field goal percentage? Yeah, 34.8% coming into today. As a big, that is no bueno. So, yes, she needs to improve as a scorer, as a finisher, and all those things. Coffee Cat says, Fever needs defensive help. Hull played last game, but Celeste needs to see some time too. Develop her to help with these close games. Yeah, I think they got to get some of these other girls some time out there. To me, the core, though, right now, and I would like a shooter. I would like Fagbenle with Smith, with Mitchell, with Clark, and a shooter. A 3-and-D player, really, would be ideal there. Kevin Zwicker says this is the place to be. It certainly seems that way. It's certainly, if any of y'all knew, Kevin knows, but the way that this show started, the origin story of this show and where it's come from and how quickly that has happened, it's a testament to how awesome I am. I got to tell you, it is. No, but it's super cool. It's super cool. I'd like to see Burger out there, Jan. Yeah, but to me, that's the core. The Boston thing is going to be the hardest thing to work out. The Boston thing is going to be the hardest thing to work out because she was the number one pick in the Rookie of the Year. Berger and Taylor maybe getting a look. Samuelson hasn't impressed me much. She had a decent game last night, but she hasn't impressed me much. Ultimately, it's that 3-and-D player. AJ Schreiber says, join the fan forum. It's like the comment section, but 24/7. Bring your energy. The Facebook fan forum. Let me see if I can share that in here with you guys. If anybody wants to join that group. I try to tell AJ this and Kevin this all the time, but it's really hard to get people to go from platform to platform. If you're on one platform, it's hard to get people to go to another platform. And then I'm figuring out the YouTube algorithm as I go too, because I have fans who are here because of me, but then there's a lot of you who have found me because of YouTube per se. Or I'm going to keep showing Alvin's chats because he found me through Denisha's show. Fever versus Sparks tomorrow. Can't wait. Love Cam, Lexi, and Rakia. Yeah. That is going to be an interesting game. So tomorrow night, here's the deal. I've got SmackDown and the SmackDown Live reaction show with Denise Salcedo. That will be over on her YouTube channel tomorrow night, right after SmackDown. Then I will catch up on the Fever game and the Fever and Sparks game. And as soon as that is over, I will drop a video on that here. Tonight, we've got a wrestling video going up with Kevin and myself. So that's what's on the docket. This will likely be the last live show until Tuesday. But just giving you guys a heads up. And I had been doing this live show Monday through Thursday. I'll keep up that schedule, but I may eventually shift it around events, around when the demand is there, whatnot. Obviously, when I go live, you guys are showing up. And I will do it as often as possible. Looking for John Whitman says, we need to look on the bright side here, Fever fans. They have covered the spread 2 games in a row. Sharon Diaz says, I think CC has handled all of the criticism with class by not reacting. Look, CC has a ton of class. This has nothing to do with her. It's just a bunch of noise, guys. It's just a bunch of noise. It's really the vast majority of people are supporting Caitlyn Clark and are rooting for Caitlyn Clark and enjoy Caitlyn Clark's game. I guarantee you. Whether they're black, white, brown, anything in between, everybody, for the most part, likes Caitlyn Clark. Don't get it twisted, as LeBron said. 53-53, this Sky and Liberty game right now. Let's see. I mean, the Liberty are a tough team to beat when you've got Stewart, Ionescu, and Jones on the same squad. That is a tough team to beat. Remember back in the day, when the NBA didn't have as many teams, that's when the Celtics and stuff went on those crazy runs. And Breanna Stewart just hit a 3. Breanna Stewart is a hooper. Noblesse Snake says Fever needs rebounding and defense, costing them games. Yeah, that is also costing them games. I agree. WWR member DS Saisahande says, are the Wolves in trouble? Look, anytime you lose game 1 at home, the who the favorite is switches up. And a couple things about the Mavericks. Number 1, Luka Doncic is a bad, In fact, Caitlyn has some similarities to Luka in the sense of your offense can be give them the ball and let them cook, right? Like there's some similarities there. LeBron, same thing. Steve Nash back with the Suns. There are certain players. James Harden. Now I think Harden is on the lower end of my favorites, but like one player offenses that can be the engine for everything else. Luka Doncic is sensational in that way. And Kyrie Irving, for whatever reason, his tenure in Brooklyn was very, very tumultuous. All these things. But he seems to have found peace. And I'm happy for him. Oh, here's a little NBA news for you guys based on this Liberty game. Boom. Donovan Mitchell is at the Liberty game tonight in New York. We know he likes New York. And the last time, this is a photo from the last time Donovan Mitchell was at the Liberty game. There you go. Is that a future Barclays Center resident in Donovan Mitchell? We shall see. I got to get to a Liberty game. I got to take my daughter and my son. I got to, Liberty are now down 5 to the Sky, by the way. Y'all are still hanging out in here too. This is amazing. Like the viewership's actually going up, not dwindling. Anything else? While we got people in here, anything else you want to talk? I'll do my Cody Rhodes. So, what do you want to talk about? You know, what do you guys want to talk about? Anything else you want to talk about? Let me know. I will get to it quickly before I bounce out of here. Next live show will be Tuesday night, most likely. Unless, look, if something compels me to go live, I will go live. I forgot. While I'm plugging, next live show is likely Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, tonight, the wrestling video with Kevin and I is dropping. Tomorrow night, I'm on with Denise after SmackDown. After that, I will drop a video here on the Fever game. And Saturday, I will be on Mad Dog Sports Radio on Sirius XM, channel 82, from 4 to 8. Long 4-hour show. 4-hour solo show. 4 to 8, Sirius XM. DS, I will go back on Talking Nets whenever they invite me. Keith and I are cool. I did it that one year. If there was more, this says nothing about Keith, who's really cool. We're cool as hell. No, there's nothing negative there. It's just like I didn't get that much from it in the grand scheme of things. He's got other stuff going on. I had other stuff going on. I will, anytime he asks me, I will be back on that show. Never say never as far as being back on it all the time, but as of now, no, I will not be on it, on a regular basis. Alvin White says, speaking of Mitchell, do you think he tries to force his way to Knicks, hoping for the Lakers personally? No, I think the Nets, I honestly think he's not going to the Knicks. It doesn't make any sense next to Brunson. I think and Dan Gilbert ain't trading him to the Lakers. Remember, Dan Gilbert's still the, guy in Cleveland there. But the Lakers would make some, I think it's Brooklyn or Miami. Or Cleveland. He might just stay in Cleveland and sign that huge max extension. Because the Nets could also consider punting on next year. They have their own draft pick and the Suns draft pick. And then they have a completely clear cap after that too. Kevin says, Kyrie has to be in the discussion for the best Robin in NBA history. Look, Kyrie is touched. He is so gifted and skilled. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Theo B says, hopefully Fever get their first win tomorrow. Catch you on the next one, Robin. Yep, I'll be getting out of here in a minute. Anyway, Theo, thank you. I think I've plugged everything sufficiently as best as I could. Vadim says, is there a specific topic for the Sirius XM show? You solo or a guest, anyone else on? The topic is whatever I feel like talking about. Obviously, that is a general sports talk show. So whatever I feel is appealing to the biggest audience. But there's a good chance I'm talking Caitlyn Clark. Very good chance. Considering how much that is in the national discourse. I'll probably talk some King of the Ring on Sirius. We'll probably do some WWE on Sirius on Saturday. NBA playoffs, obviously, will be a huge topic on Sirius on Saturday. And you know what? I'll probably, if it still has juice, the Harrison Butker thing. I don't think I've talked about that anywhere yet. Emmanuel Del Suso says, really good and balanced reviews and good critiques. Learn a lot from you. Congratulations on the channel. Thank you. Honestly, thank you. I appreciate that and the recognition for that. I really try my best in that regard. So when people notice it, that it does mean a lot. I hurt your Fifi says, ooh, wrestling. Yes, wrestling. I'm a big wrestling guy. Later tonight, Kevin and I dropping a wrestling video. Tomorrow night, I'm on Denise Salcedo's wrestling show following SmackDown. Check out her Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Then tomorrow night, after that, I will drop a Fever reaction video here on this channel. Then Saturday, I will watch King of the Ring. As soon as it's over, I will be on Sirius XM. David Cobbler says, appreciate all your content and all things CC and the Fever. That is coming. It's gonna continue coming. Again, as this continues to expand and grow and scale, I will consider branching off and maybe, you know, launching a separate channel for like the wrestling stuff and whatnot. I don't know yet. I haven't gotten there yet. But as of right now, you can come here for all those things, and that has chosen me as the dominant theme of this channel. And the other stuff will be sprinkled in as well. As I Hurt Your Fifi says, awesome. Started to get back into pro wrestling a few months ago. Look, I got really way back into it. Here's my pro wrestling story for you real quick. So when I was a kid, my brother and I, my grandmother was actually lived in Mississippi. And my brother and I would go to Mississippi, and my aunt worked at a video store. So we would rent a grip of these videos, Coliseum Home Video, it was called, and watch them. And I remember watching like The Undertaker's debut and Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels, and getting those magazines that would give you the ranking system for all that. And then I obviously came up in the Attitude Era. A great and one by Sabrina Ionescu just now. I came up in the Attitude Era, and when I was in high school, that was the coolest thing. Then after college, I was always a fan, but I sort of drifted away. I was much more of a casual fan. The pandemic, I randomly put on a Royal Rumble, and my kids were like, "What is that?" And we watched every Royal Rumble together, and that's when I like zeroed back in, and I've been immersed in the pro wrestling space since then. Like right now, it's for me, it's like my two biggest lanes are obviously basketball here and wrestling. So if you're into that, let me know. 65-63, Sky over New York. Right now, good game. 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. That one, I recommend turning that on Amazon Prime. This is a good joke, AJ. Safe to say Harrison Butker doesn't approve of CC in the WNBA. It's a good joke. I don't think I've talked about Harrison Butker anywhere. I don't know if it's a dead topic yet or not, but there's a chance I talk about it on Sirius XM tomorrow. So I plugged everything I could plug. I do truly, truly appreciate all of you in here. I got to as many comments as I could. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for the dedication. Next live show likely on Tuesday. Content coming between now and then. Content will never stop. Again, Denise, the wrestling video here tonight with me and Kevin. Denise's show tomorrow on her channel. Fever reaction video tomorrow night on this channel. Sirius XM on Saturday afternoon. And who knows what else in the meantime. With that said, I hope all of you have an absolutely tremendous Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy the time with your families, your friends, whomever it may be. You know, you guys are like, you know, friends and family to me. The fact that you've all found it and gravitated over here. Alvin White came over from Denise's channel. Funny, I fell off with wrestling during the pandemic, but the bloodline got me back locked in. Yo, I'm with you, dude. I'm a Roman guy. I miss our tribal chief, Roman Reigns. I miss him. I do. The Liberty just took the lead in that game, by the way. So check out the finish. Again, for those there's the CC fans out there, like I 100% recognize that Caitlyn Clark is the driving force behind this explosion in women's basketball, but for it to continue to grow and get bigger from that, we have to also pay attention to some of the other teams and the other stories and the other women in the league. So I'm going to be doing my best to do that as I'm going on this journey. And I appreciate all of y'all being on this journey with me. Have a good weekend, everybody. Check out all the content. The balloons, the peace sign activates the balloons. I don't know why. Yeet.